Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. I would like to call the open agenda to order for the West Parry Sound Recreation and Culture Center Board meeting at 7:46 p.m. on this 9th day of October. And the first item of agenda or business is item 1.2. Are there any additions to this evening's open agenda? I believe that there will be one more item to discuss or to add to the for actions that were considered and closed. I don't know if that needs to be recognized in the agenda or not.
At the point.
At the point. Okay, so that will cover that. So may I have a mover and a seconder to approve the agenda, please? Moved by Councillor Fellner, seconded by Mayor Robinson, that the agenda for the October 9th, 2024 West Parry Sound Recreation and Culture Center Board is hereby approved as circulated. All in favor? Opposed, if any? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Are there any pecuniary interests to disclose this evening? Seeing none, we will move on to approval of the minutes. May I have a mover and a seconder for the approval of the minutes from September 11th, moved by Mayor McGarvey, seconded by Councillor Lundy, that the minutes of the September 11th, 2024 regular meeting of the West Parry Sound Recreation and Culture Center Board are hereby approved as circulated. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Thank you. Thank you. So there were no delegations or correspondence this evening, and we will, prior to the open meeting, the board moved into closed, that subject or pursuant to section 239 subsections 2 and 3 of the Municipal Act, Statutes of Ontario 2001, Clause 25, as amended, the West Parry Sound Recreation and Culture Center moved into a meeting close to the public in order to address matters pertaining to item K, a position plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board, that being a review of the comparison of bank financing proposals for construction and as well as donation and sponsorship agreements. So I would like to now share those matters that were discussed. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So in terms of the chair's verbal report, I'd just like to report. I'd like to extend my thanks to the members of the steering committee who have worked very hard since last we met to both manage the project, the construction project, and as well as our fundraising committee that has been very active in cultivating interest and donations in our community. Some of which we'll be able to share with you a little later on this evening. And that would be my verbal report. In terms of matters, item 3.2, matters referred from the closed meeting, there were 3 matters that were discussed. The first was bank financing for construction. And may I have a mover and a seconder for the resolution that was passed? Moved by Councillor Fellner, seconded by Mayor Robinson, that the board hereby authorizes the execution of the letter accepting the general outline of terms and conditions offered by Scotiabank, the board's corporate bank, for a secured demand operating line of credit of up to $13,500,000 for the purposes of financing the construction of the West Parry Sound Recreation and Culture Center at an interest rate of prime less 0.65%. Any questions, comments? All in favor? Opposed, if any? And that resolution is passed. Thank you very much. The next one was a resolution for the thank you. The next one was a resolution for regarding multipurpose room, a sponsorship contract for multipurpose room number 1 at the new rec center. May I have a mover and a seconder for that? Moved by Councillor Fellner, seconded by Councillor Lundy, that the board hereby authorizes the chair and clerk to sign the naming rights agreement for multipurpose room number 1 as submitted in the October 9th, 2024 closed meeting. All in favor? Opposed, if any? And that is carried. Thank you very much. And the third matter is that of spectator seating in the new facility, and there was a direction to staff that reads, whereas future user groups of the West Parry Sound Recreation and Culture Center have endorsed alternate hybrid option number 2, spectator seating totaling 150 seats as presented by CS&P Architects at the August 14th, 2024 board meeting. Therefore, the board directs the board chair and fundraising chair to obtain a written agreement with a proponent for a donation of $1 million as identified in his letter of March 21st, 2024, in order to install alternate hybrid option number 2, spectator seating totaling 150 seats as identified in an attached image, and subject to the proponent's written agreement, the board directs that the alternate hybrid option number 2 specifications be included in construction specifications, and further that to confirm that the donation in hand is more than the any additional cost to accommodate those additional seats. May I have a mover? Moved by Mayor McGarvey, seconded by Councillor Lundy. Any questions, comments? All in favor? Opposed, if any? And that is carried. Thank you very much. And then item 3.3 is the monthly financial reports, and they were submitted by the steering committee, and Ms. Phillips is here this evening to provide some highlights. Over to you, Ms. Phillips.
Thank you. So the balance sheet shows that the cash balance is at approximately $849,000 at the end of September. 4.6 million in grant funding is receivable from ISEP. 8,064,000 has been recorded in work in progress towards capital works. On the statement of operations, 3.87 million in ISEP grant revenues were claimed, and legal and other consulting costs to date are 45,453, which includes agreement work, advice regarding the purchase of land, including donations, etc. Funds on hand are earning interest of $187,583 year to date. And as of September, the fundraising surplus from the beginning to date is $162,815. 68,521 shows as receipted towards the Moose FM fundraising campaign through a number of different user groups and individuals. Invoices totaling 524,000 were submitted for payment last week, and the cash balance now is estimated at 319,000, around there. All partners forwarded their share of cash call number 1 for temporary financing, with the exception of McKellar. A progress report of 804,000 approximately is currently being reviewed from ISEP for claim, so hopefully we'll receive that cash. And the need for cash will be reviewed on a weekly basis, and a cash call may come out depending on when invoices come in.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. Are there any questions for Ms. Phillips? May I have a mover and a seconder that the board hereby move that the September 30th, 2024 financial reports be received for information. Moved by Mayor Robinson, seconded by Councillor Lundy. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Thank you. And item 3.4 is a project and building update submitted by the steering committee. And I believe that CAO Inwood will speak to that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. September has been an exciting month in light of the transition from early works into facility construction, with the early works wrapping up and being complete, and the mobilization of bulk construction onto site. Anybody that's had the opportunity to drive by has seen there's been activity. I'm pleased to report that earlier today, the first concrete pour took place in the footings and foundation work. So we are officially seeing things happening. It's an exciting time. Wanted to just share that as we sort of move into the final strokes of the tendering, the tender package 3, which has a variety of components within it, are continue to come in with favorable results at this point so far, with a favorable surplus of about 46,000 and change. So that's good news. Attached to this report, of course, is a project budget update prepared by Ball Construction, who's now overseeing all facets of the facility construction and the project management. Joining us today, I believe online, is Jason Homewood from Ball Construction, who will provide us with a PowerPoint and a brief update on some of their activities and the look ahead on what we can expect moving forward. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Homewood if he's available and let him take it from here.
Thank you, Mr. Homewood. Over to you.
Yes, good evening. I'll just bear with me while I attempt to share my screen. Okay, so just a brief update on where we're at, kind of echoing what Jason and Wood was saying. We're excited to be on site and starting the foundations. So just a little bit of a update and just kind of a look ahead in the next few months. So right now, I want to just touch base on some of the short-term construction schedule, just really a 3 to 4 month look ahead into the end of this year. Then we'll be talking just roughly about the overall project schedule and then a budget update. In terms of the short-term schedule, so as mentioned before, the early works has concluded and we're now mobilized on site for starting construction of the facility. Foundation work has started. And like Jason was saying, some of the first concrete deliveries happened today. So that's great news. The intent is to finish up the foundations, both the footings and the foundation walls at the end of this year into early new year. And then the structural steel frame will start to be delivered early January of 2025. So that's kind of a brief look at what's happening in the next few months. In terms of the overall project schedule, we'll be looking at installing and completing the overall building structure in the spring of 2025. The building envelope, so the exterior walls, the glass, the roof, basically all the outside portions to enclose the building. It'll be starting in the spring of 2025. The swimming pool installation will start sometime in the summer of 2025. As mentioned before, foundations are completed early in 2025. And then the overall targeted completion for construction is approximately mid-May 2026. In terms of the project budget, the overall baseline project budget from the March 31st, 2024 was just over 36.3 million. The updated overall project budget is currently sitting at 39,248,460. The major factor in the increase in this budget was related to additional unforeseen work that took place during the early works. So specifically around rock blasting and additional fill that was required. We're currently sitting at 94.75% of the total hard costs have been tendered. And the hard cost budget for the construction of the facility is tracking slightly below the initial projected budget. So just a couple quick images of the progress on site. So here you can see this was from last week when we just started doing some of the excavation for foundations. And then just a couple photos taken, I believe it was either today or yesterday, of getting the forms in place and in preparation for the concrete. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Mayor Robinson.
Question for Mr. Homewood. The Natari pool system, does your company have experience with this kind of pool system?
We do. Yep. So we have recently completed an Natari swimming pool in the town of Caledon. So it very similar system. The only difference with that one, it was more of an integrated pool. So they had one large pool tank, which included both the lane swim, so the 25 meter, the same length that is planned for this project, but it also had an integrated teaching pool. So here at the West Parry Sound project, it is 2-tank pool, whereas the one we did in Caledon was a 1-tank.
Thank you. Any further questions? May I have a mover and a seconder that the board receive the October 9th, 2024 project and budget update for information purposes? Moved by Mayor McGarvey, seconded by Councillor Lundy. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Thank you very much. Item 3.5 is a fundraising team report. And Marianne McDermott, Chair of our fundraising committee, is here this evening. Thank you for joining us, Marianne.
Thank you very much. You heard a report from our treasurer, Stephanie, that we're at 68,000 for the matching campaign through Moose. With checks presented tonight, we're at 74,000. And we have little less than 6 weeks left in that till November 24th. I will report that the medical community is now starting to do the matching on the Moose campaign. So I'm very comfortable that we're going to hit our 100,000 or maybe more. We are continuing discussions with the donor for the naming rights of the aquatic area. And we're aggressively doing our follow-up with people who we started discussions with. I think what we're doing is proving that big donors need time and many meetings to come to a conclusion. Many of them want to meet with their own senior management team or their families to solidify the amounts. But the good news is that there's more good news coming out regularly on social media through our communications lead at Seguin, and some of the donors that I think had said no in the past are coming today. Any of you that were at Tom Cochran's concert last Friday, he did a call out to the fundraising team at that concert on stage and has donated fairly significantly as of yesterday. Any questions?
Questions for Anne? Mayor Robinson.
It's great. Thanks to your team. Finally, it's all coming to fruition. It's been a long haul, I know, and a lot of bumps and jogs and turns along the way, but we're getting there, which is very good to hear, because we do know we need the fundraising to help get us to our final budget amount because of some of those twists and turns. Where can the public go? I know there's Let's Make a Splash is the website, but looking on there, is there somewhere we can see who the donors are and what their amounts are, so that the public can identify with these people and they can get the congratulations out there that they well deserve?
If the donor has agreed to be identified, particularly in the Moose campaign, yes, you can see, but they also have the option of remaining anonymous. So for instance, if you went to the Moose campaign, Let's Make a Splash, then Moose campaign, and you clicked on, say, the medical professionals, you will see the first 3 donors, Dr. Jonathan Collins, retired physician, Dr. Woodhouse. So they have agreed to have their names. But then on some of the others, retired teachers, for instance, many of them chose to remain anonymous. So you can see, I will say that the retired teachers, I spoke to them at one of their meetings, and they are one of the biggest donor group, and all are on fixed incomes. So it's pretty motivating to see that they're well over $10,000 in the matching campaign, even though they are all pensioned.
Well, thank you, Mayor Robinson.
Just to follow up that we had talked at one point in time about having a thermometer or something like that to just show the totals. Then if we can identify some of the individuals, is there any thought to that or?
There is now that we're closing in on $1 million, but it'll likely be on the website. Just from a practical point of view, to update something electronically is a whole lot easier than going on site and painting a thermometer. So we're starting to talk about it now. We didn't want it when we were not making significant money.
Understandable, but I think it'll be good for the public just to sort of see that total
Yeah.
amount.
Yeah, and Valerie is doing a whole lot more on social media. And every time I get asked to speak to a group, I always spend a few minutes trying to dispel the incorrect rumors. And some of them are quite funny. Like we've gone from 6 to 4 lanes, like there's going to be no heat in the building, like there's going to be no heat in the pools. These are ridiculous. I have no idea where they come from. But once you tell people the real facts and say the biggest thing you can do is to correct all these things at your dinner tables and your cocktail parties. So anytime you people can talk about real facts, please do it.
Thank you, Marion. Stay tuned for more very encouraging news. So appreciate everything that you and our fundraising committee is doing. It's vital to our success. So that takes us to the end of our open meeting this evening. I would like to call for a mover and a seconder to adjourn, moved by Councillor Fellner, seconded by Councillor Lundy, that the meeting be adjourned. All in favor? Opposed, if any? And we are adjourned. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. Everybody stay safe. We'll talk to you soon.